Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. We're talking about the Alabama tight end room. But before we begin, definitely hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you more than you know. At a glance, the Alabama tight end room features kind of a mix of a couple upperclassmen and then some very dynamic tight ends that are coming up that are younger guys. We're going to talk about all those guys right now. But first, we're talking about Miller Forristall. I didn't have him listed because I'm not sure if he's going to come back for the 2021 season under the NCAA blanket waiver rule. Now, as you know, Miller Forristall contributed a ton to the Alabama Crimson Tide over the last several seasons. This past year, he caught for 23 receptions for 253 yards with a touchdown. Alabama really liked to utilize his ability because he's a big blocking tight end, and we'll keep you posted on him. Next, we're talking about Kendall Randolph, 6'4", 300 pounds. Yes, he's listed as a tight end and as an offensive lineman, wears 85 when he comes in various packages for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and then wears 60 when he is an offensive lineman. So when you look to Alabama's offensive line, I know we're talking about the tight ends here, don't forget about Kendall Randolph. Returns with a lot of experience, and Alabama really likes his veteran leadership coming back, and depending on the packages, as I just mentioned, I mean, Kendall Randolph definitely going to come in as a blocking tight end, and Alabama needs that with Carl Tucker now leaving and potentially Miller Forristall. So Kendall Randolph, a name to know. Speaking of a name to know, you got Jahleel Billingsley, only going to be a sophomore, 6'4", 230 pounds. I know he was a sophomore this year, but because of the circumstances, he'll get to replay this sophomore season, and that's incredible for Alabama. I mean, you're looking at a guy who has a ton of talent, and I think when you look at kind of the way that college football and even the NFL is going, you like these tight ends that can create mismatches that are almost a hybrid between a wide receiver and a tight end. Maybe, for example, a Kyle Pitts or a Brevin Jordan from Miami. Those guys certainly have that next level gear, and Jahleel Billingsley does have that as well. I really liked how Steve Sarkisian utilized Billingsley during this 2020 season. He had 18 receptions for 287 yards. And I think when you look kind of at the Alabama receiving room, as we've talked about before, there's not a lot of experience within that group. And I think that Alabama will be creative enough to get Billingsley a ton of reps, a ton of catches. And I think he's going to play an instrumental role in Alabama's offense during the 2021 season. This is a guy I've talked about for a long time now. I really like all his attributes in terms of, his route running ability, his hands, his blocking. If Alabama is able to get some more weight on him, I would assume that, he's probably going to play around 240 pounds or something like that. So when we look to breakout players for the 2021 season, I know he made a splash in 2020, but circle Billingsley as a major threat for Alabama's offense returning to this season. I've talked about him before. I'm talking about him again. Write this down. Billingsley due for a huge season in 2021. Major Tennyson also returns to the tight end room, 6'5", 252 pounds. He's a redshirt junior out of the state of Texas. He's been here for a while now, so he knows the system. And when you look to the veterans of this tight end group, Tennyson is going to be one of those guys. I don't know how many receptions he's going to have. I don't know how Alabama is going to utilize him in red zone situations, but considering that Miller Forristall could potentially be moving on, Carl Tucker, look for Major Tennyson and Kendall Randolph to be those blocking tight ends. Next, we're going to talk about Cameron Latu, 6'5", 250 pounds, is a redshirt sophomore out of the state of Utah. We've seen Cam Latu actually play on the defensive side of the ball. When he first got here to Alabama, he was a defensive end getting to the quarterback, and then a couple seasons ago, he switched over to the tight end room where Alabama has kept him. From what I gather, Cameron Latu is a very, very capable tight end. I know we haven't seen him in a lot of game situations. We haven't seen him out on the field at the tight end position. But I think from, kind of digging into the details, Alabama likes what they have in Cameron Latu. I don't think he's going to switch back to the defensive side of the ball. We've talked about all the returners on the defense. So Cameron Latu is kind of a guy that I think people might forget about in the tight end room, but he can catch the ball. He's got a little bit of speed and some good athleticism. Obviously, he does because he's kind of one of those crossover players that ended up on the tight end side. A couple of additional tight ends to talk about before we close out. Michael Parker, 6'6", 232 pounds, out of Huntsville, Alabama. We haven't got a lot of opportunities to see Michael Parker. As you can tell, there's a lot of tight ends within this group, so maybe this will be a season where we see him play in some capacity. Caden Clark is a member of the class of 2021. I think he was either a blue shirt or a gray shirt, something like that. So when you look to Alabama's class of 2021, he counted. I know right here on the screen it says class of 2020, but he is actually enrolled now in January. So that's another tight end to this unit. So Caden Clark out of the class, really, of 2021. He'll be coming in to add more depth to this tight end group. And then Robbie Oots, who is out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, at 6'3", 246 pounds. Look, Robbie Oots, I want you to know this, that he's coming in. I know he's at almost 250 pounds. He has a ton of athleticism. Also a very good basketball player, so you can tell that he's a very talented athlete in that aspect. Robbie Oots isn't going to get a lot of hype. No tight end is, right? Maybe Billingsley and that's it. But keep your eye on Oots to potentially be a guy that has a little bit more spark than you anticipate. So I'm really keeping tabs on him coming in. I'm really excited to see what he can do, especially when he gets the football or opportunities. So here's kind of the tight end room one more time at a glance. It's not an overly experienced group, but I think there are playmakers within this group. And Billingsley, as we've talked about, is somebody that I feel is going to be a major, major part of this offense. Let me know what you think about this tight end room, about Alabama's offense going into the 2021 season. I'm coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My name is Kyle Henderson. Definitely hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you more than you know.